you go back to the early years of Islam, okay, كان العالم السكولر was a scholar of psychology, sociology, physics, history. Why? Because in fact, these disciplines are all interrelated. So when I did my PhD in business, I had to read a lot in psychology. I had to read a lot in sociology. In fact, and I had to read a lot in history. In March 2021, I thought of setting up a company that will be operating in last mile solution as well as Q-commerce. So I started meeting with people who are in the industry, people who are working in the big companies in Bahrain, okay, handling these last mile solutions, trying to understand the whole value chain of this business, trying to understand the unit economics of this business, trying to understand the challenges of this business. And then I have put my own financial model for it. And I started reaching out to certain investors, inviting them to join me. Okay.
That you already had relationships, obviously, from your previous job, and that allowed that process. Yes. Okay.
Okay. So I personally put a significant stake in the business, financial stake in the business, and I invited some local Bahraini businessmen to join me, and we managed to get a major Saudi investor on board, okay, who look at this business, you know, in a very serious manner to grow and scale this business. So we managed to raise the capital of the company from 250,000 dinar back in March to 1.4 million.
MashaAllah.
Okay, and with that we have developed our own app, okay, internally. So I started recruiting a Bahraini team, okay, for the development.
And how difficult was that process, by the way? Finding good talent in Bahrain is not the easiest.
It's not the easiest, but the thing is, when it comes to the business application, okay, or the apps, development of the app, there are lots of, I would say, good talents coming out from the University of Bahrain.
Absolutely.
As well as Polytechnic. Good skills, because the language that we are using is a recent language. Okay, when you're talking about the Flutter, when you're talking about the PHP, okay, for the backend, okay, these are languages that are, okay, on the rise. And we have managed to get good Bahraini talents to help us take this journey with us. So we've been working on developing the app for a number of months. We started in May, okay, from first of all identifying what is that we want to have from the app, what verticals we want to have in the app, what features we want to have.
And what's your USP as well?
What's the USP, the UI, the user experience we want to have, the user interface that we want to have. Okay, and we got everything ready by end of March 2022. So we launched the company in April 2022. Okay, and we have been able to scale the business, okay, on a gradual fashion. So what we have in the app, in the YouApp, okay, or even let me just shed lights on the vision, okay.
We have it right here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's very interesting. So from the choice of the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the choice is you, and the tagline is live happier. We said we want it to be you because you as a customer, you are the center of our attention, you are the center of our focus. So our vision is to deliver a passionate experience, focusing on the daily needs of you. And in order to do that, you have to understand what are the daily needs of you and how we can address these daily needs in a very efficient manner. So that's our vision, is to deliver a passionate experience, focusing on the daily needs of you. And we use a model, we call it an empathy model. And the empathy model reflects what each human being is characterized of. Okay, so a human being has a free will. Okay, if he doesn't like something, he will change it. Okay, you cannot impose on him things he doesn't want, he doesn't like. Okay, so you have to think of what is it that might be of an interest for him, so that he can take such a decision to go and purchase or buy or interact with you. So he has a free will. The second thing is that the human being is irrational. Okay, he goes through mental processing, okay, very fast.
So it has to be price sensitive.
Yes, so you have to be price sensitive. Okay, you have to also give him proper USPs for the products that you are having, okay, in your app, so that you can convince him of
interacting with it,
and interacting and buying. Okay, the third one is that the human being, we look at him as a social person. So he is a person who influences his surroundings, and he gets influenced by other people. So it's very important to ensure that you understand the social trends, you understand the social backgrounds of your customers, the culture of your customers, okay, so that when you package your products, when you package your services, when you package your marketing, you understand that, okay, these things are very much relevant to the social backgrounds of, the customers that you are dealing with.
That you have your market segmentation
exactly
on point.
Absolutely.
And what's your age range that you're trying to
we are looking for an age range between, I would say, 12 years old.
Okay,
to 6 years old.
Okay.
That's a
large range.
Yes, it's a wide range. Okay, because what we have in all the verticals, every day.
Necessities.
Okay, it's a necessity. Food is a necessity. Okay, grocery is also a necessity. Okay, then you have the flowers that covers the mood cycle. Okay, so people go through the mood cycle on a daily basis.
Sure,
people go through a mood cycle. Okay, at times they are happy, at times they are sad, at times they are depressed. Okay, at times they are excited. And these feelings are as a result of certain contexts, okay, and things that happen to them, okay. So they are happy because a family is happy because they have a baby, okay. A family is happy because, for example, okay, their kids have graduated from
salary came in.
Okay. The family is sad because one of their members is hospitalized, okay. Relationship, go through cycles as well, okay.
Some days you love your wife, some days you hate your wife.
Sometimes you have, you don't hate your wife, you go through depressing points.
You like her less that day,
yes,
You don't want to spend so much time at home.
Exactly. So the flowers vertical, okay, is very important for us because through it we expose ourselves to a better understanding of how people interact and how people, experience emotions. Okay. The last one is that the person is an emotional person. Okay. He gets emotional. Okay. So there is a rationality, but there is also emotions part of it. Okay. So So sometimes you'll find that what people are buying is based on emotional, I would say, drive or emotional motivation. So these are the 4 quadrants of our
Sure, if you feel sad, you buy chocolate. If you feel happy, you might buy your groceries. If you're depressed, you might buy video games.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how will that reflect in the app then? Do you try to analyze your customer's mood beforehand and then show them a different experience?
Well, if you look at the flower vertical,
sure,
there are certain categories of flower arrangements that are suitable for
the mood.
Yes,
of course,
yes.
That's pretty clever.
Yes.
That is wholly unique. That is interesting.
Yeah,
that is interesting. So do you think a next step further would be trying to categorize then the UI based on time of date for food, for example? For example, at lunchtime, people may be more in the rush, so they want maybe something quicker to eat. That's quicker to deliver.
Absolutely. What we have in the food vertical, we have hundreds of partners that we are dealing with, restaurants that we are dealing with, and they are offering different types of cuisines, different types of dishes. Okay, and what we are trying to do, we try to work out with them to come up with packages and offerings that are suitable based on the day of the week, okay, based on the time of the day, okay. So for example, on Fridays usually families get together, they like sweets, they like to.
That is genius. That is really smart.
Yeah, so that's how we position these products.
That is really, really smart. And do you believe that you're ever going to move from a mobile phone platform onto a desktop?
Well, at the moment we are focusing only on the
mobile phone.
Mobile phones. We believe that people are attached to their phones, to their smartphones.
Sure.
It fulfills 99% of all their needs on a daily basis, from interacting with people, emailing people, okay, seeing what's in the news, everything. So
don't you feel like bigger purchases tend to be made on a web browser that is a desktop?
Okay.
So if you're going to buy something maybe for your wife or your kid or whatever that is a bigger, like for maybe Friday, you want to buy maybe something bigger. Don't you think that there's a philosophy behind it?
We okay. Now I have not covered all the verticals.
Sure.
One of the verticals that we have also is we have 2 important verticals within the app. The first one is the fashion vertical, okay, and the second one is the lifestyle vertical. So these are very important verticals where people would like to see the products on a larger, let's say, screen. Okay, so we are now working, to develop a bespoke, I would say, e-commerce website, okay, for these 2, verticals that will come, in the coming, I would say, in the coming month from now. Okay, we've been working very hard on this. And the idea is that, with these 2 verticals, we will be able to expose the app or the offerings of the app, not just to Bahrain, but also, Saudi Arabia and
UAE,
the other GCC countries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is fantastic. It's super interesting. Do you feel like there's space to potentially do any kind of AR integration with it?
Okay. There are a lot of things that you can do.
Sure.
Okay, when it comes to the artificial intelligence, when it comes to the virtual reality, okay, and also augmented reality. We are carefully assessing all of these, okay, and see what can fit us and what can fit each vertical in terms of these packages, okay, and go about it. So this is something that we are working on at the moment.
Because I think an AR experience where you could maybe look at the clothes and you pull out the phone and you could maybe like walk around and see it as a 3D space, I think that has potential. Apple, I think, just recently announced that they're opening up their whole AR segment. So they're already working on those AR glasses that they've been promising for the last 2 years or 3 years. So I think this is where I think the market is heading towards.
Yeah.
But I think that it's only going to be effective and profitable maybe 5 years down the line.
There are a lot of challenges when it comes to the fashion
Sure.
industry over the internet. Okay, the return rate is very high. You're talking about around 50% because you're buying things that you don't touch, okay, and feel and and test or try. Hopefully, with these packages, it would reduce the return rate.
I think Chanel, I think, has an AR-based sunglasses app that you just look at, and it shows you different models of sunglasses on your face.
Okay.
And I think it brought down their returns to less than 10% for their sunglass proportion. It makes sense.
Yes.
Right? I mean, how often would you buy sunglasses from an online store? Zero.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think it's super interesting. So I love how your key differentiation to your competitors are, you know what, they're maybe focused on availability, or just mass. We're focused on honing the customer experience, which is normally never the wrong decision ever to make.
Yeah.
And how did this whole idea come from?
Well, again, I have been looking at this tech industry for quite some time, and we believe that there is a gap in the industry where we can fill. Okay, and we've been validating, consistently our assumptions, and we believe that there is a market for us to play. There are strong fundamentals around the last mile and Q-commerce solutions in terms of the size of the market. The size of the market is expanding. Okay, every day you have new guys joining the market, owning smartphones, downloading these apps for the first time. Okay, so the market is expanding. We have non-Bahrainis coming, okay, residing in Bahrain as well. So the market is expanding. We believe that there is a good market for us to play in.
No, like I said, I think the idea of doing a customer-centered focused business model makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think it's a key differentiation to your competitors, which I think is a great idea. I'm interested in how it will work with items such as like tech products. Maybe when their new PlayStation comes out, the new Sony, the new iPhone. Would you integrate that into a For You experience as well, and saying like, hey, you know what? Not only can you get the phone, but you can get a screen protector, a wallet, all in one package.
Yeah. That's under the lifestyle.
Yeah.
If you screen through the lifestyle vertical, you will find the following. You will find a box. Okay. We have a section for English box. Okay, and Arabic box. And under the English box, we have the best seller box available. Okay, be it for kids, be it for different genres, be it for stories, fictions, non-fictions, okay, business box, all of these. We have successfully partnered with one of the biggest bookstores in Bahrain, okay, and we are onboarding all of their, best-selling books, okay, into the vertical. The same thing with the Arabic books, okay. So by doing that, we are able to reach to a big segment of the market, okay, who are intellectually sophisticated and who are interested in seeing what's the trend when it comes to the stories, when it comes to business books, be it Arabic, be it English. Then we have the electronics sections, and under the electronics we have wide range of light electronics. We call it light electronics, and these are small items, okay, that we are not talking about selling TVs or selling fridges. No, we're talking about selling digital watches, selling, let's say, AirPods, okay, selling small fruit mixers, selling water bottles, the trendiest ones, okay, and these are available, okay, in this vertical, and there is a good social interest in these products, because we think that these products are, yes, they are not huge, they are not a necessity, but they reflect I would say this, they are part of the self-expression. People like to carry them, okay, to express themselves to the people, okay. So when you wear a digital watch, okay, it's more of a self-expression,
Sure.
okay, of who you are, okay. When you wear, let's say, a certain type of a brand, okay, you are telling people who you are, okay, your identity. So it's more of a self-expression products that we have in this category.
Okay, but what do you see maybe the future being with the app, that purchases will be made and then the end customer will receive it, and if they like it, they keep it, if they don't, they send back?
Yes, we do have this. We do have this for the fashion.
Sure.
Okay, for the electronics, it's difficult.
Complicated.
Yes, it's complicated at the moment, but we do have this for the fashion.
But because this is, this is something that Jeff Bezos talked about. After the one-click solution, he wanted the zero-click solution, where you say, hey, whatever their thing is called, the Amazon Alexa, buy me this, done.
Yeah.
He talked about that the next stage for customer interactions will be that Amazon will create for you your necessities for that month or that week, ship it to you, you keep what you like, and you give back what you don't.
Okay.
And I think it's a fascinating approach on the potentiality of how business will work.
Yeah.
And he coupled it up with a subscription model, which is the Amazon Prime subscription model. And so I could definitely see a system almost like that working specifically for your groceries business.
Yes.
And for your fashion business. I think once a customer has ordered 5 or 6 times, you have a good understanding, and you can
exactly. I mean,
do an auto delivery.
Yeah, there are different ideas that can be pursued, but the most important thing at the moment is to create that stability, create the data. Once you have the data, once you have more, I would say, granularity on your customers' experience, your customers' behavior, okay, purchasing patterns, then you can go and introduce some of these subscription-based offerings.
Well, I think it's a great idea. Yeah. And how are you acquiring new customers? Are you doing purely by virtual?
We are doing many things.
Okay.
We are doing a combination of online and offline. Mm-hmm. And online, we are all over the social media. Mm-hmm. Okay, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, okay, LinkedIn, okay. We are using all of these platforms to reach out to people, okay.
Dan, can you put the website back on?
Okay. At the same time, also we have our offline activities, mm-hmm. and these are combinations of billboards, okay. Our PR activities as well. We are moving out to companies,
your paid media, yeah.
Yes, offering them, the special programs, for the employees of the companies. So we're doing a mixture of all of these.
Because I think what would really benefit the business model, especially the online presence, if you scroll right to the bottom, I think what would be really great is if you do some, just at the bottom, customer validation. Where we pick maybe the 5 or 6 customers that have ordered the most through your services, going to them and saying, hey, you know what, we'll give you a discount for, let's say, whatever, 10, 50, whatever BD, and saying, do you mind telling your customer experience to camera? Yeah. And then using that as a validation to other customers.
We are using that in the Instagram. We have a lot of stories, customers when they receive their products, okay,
their customer experience.
They talk about their experience. Okay, they tell us that they have received their products in a very efficient way. That the sales consultant or the delivery consultant is very friendly. Okay, so we receive all of these stories, and we have them in the Instagram account.
Yeah, we're going through it. It's super interesting. I mean, I think it's a brilliant business model, and I think it has a very wide-reaching potential.
Yeah.
And are you looking into expanding into Saudi Arabia and UAE anytime soon?
Not at this stage. Okay.
Sure.
However, we are now. We will be starting very soon the next phase of our capital raising, Series B, and
I was about to ask, what are you looking for?
Yes. Well, one of the objectives is to, of course, one of the objectives of the capital raising is to scale the business in Bahrain as well as in GCC. We are looking for raising a capital between, I would say, 10 to 15 million US dollars. Okay, the company today has commanded a strong value as a result of the successful operations and the successful scaling.
The launch, yeah.
Yeah, and the launch. So. Today we have strong partnerships, okay, across all of these verticals. We have a strong, I would say, human capital inside the organization, employees who are, who understand their job, okay, employees who are very intellectual, very skilled, and who can scale the business. So that's a huge value addition to the business. Of course, we have the app. Okay, it's a very detailed customer journey in the app. It's a very detailed program that we have developed out of it. So all of this command a very strong value.
No, I imagine so. I mean, you're building a good brand. I think the underlying technology is very interesting. You have a good marketing position. I see the quite potentiality to it. And where's the service then based? Is it with AWS or using?
Yes, exactly. All our services are on cloud.
Sure.
So AWS is our partner for that.
Okay. And are you ever looking to do your own server racks?
No.
And no. Those days are over.
Those days are over. Yes. Those days are over. Yes.
Oh, it's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Okay. Perfect. And I think that because the market capacity, because the population of Bahrain is like 1.6 million people.
Yes.
Your customer acquisition cost is going to skyrocket the closer you come to that extra person, right?
Yes.
So sooner or later you will definitely have to look either into the UAE or Saudi into a bigger population that you can then further fund that.
It's just a matter of finding the right partner, strategic partner who would juxtapose their offerings, okay, and couple it with our business. We are in discussions with a number of companies around these ideas, and once we are firm about the viability of the idea, that will give the company a much better scale when it comes to the offering, and well beyond the 6 verticals that we are talking about.
And are you working with any larger consultancy companies?
Yes, we are now working with a large Saudi consultancy company. Okay, to handle our investment or to handle our capital raising.
Sure. I mean, that's always a key aspect, right? And I mean, you're looking for mostly Middle Eastern investors, I assume.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because otherwise, I mean, there's BlackRock, there's Deutsche Bank, there's Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, there are
the big four as well.
There are lots of family offices in Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely.
As well as VCs around in GCC who would be very much interested, in a business model like what we have.
Aren't you a little concerned that one of the biggest problem, I think, with Middle Eastern investors is they get dazzled by Western companies? There's a lot of VCs that instead of putting the money locally in good businesses, they get dazzled by by large American corporations, these unicorn businesses. And that's hard to reach them, right? It's hard to get them to say, "Hey, you know what? We do a good business here."
Exactly. It's hard to reach them. I think there is a very strong liquidity in the market, in GCC,
Yeah.
and I think this is a great time for us to tap on this liquidity to scale the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, inflation is currently going up. So right now, the quicker people can invest into an enterprise, the better it is, right?
Exactly.
So it only makes sense.
With all negativity around equity markets, so there has to, people have to think of alternative investments, and I think equity stake in businesses like our business, our company, is the right way of going forward.
No, I totally agree. I mean, right now the Wall Street is down, right? A lot of the tech bubbles slowly seeming to have been burst.
Yes.
And so it's good for investors now to get a little bit of a wake-up call and being like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This might be a good time to diversify our portfolio.
Exactly.
What is going on? What is being ventured? What is being raised?
Absolutely.
It sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And do you have a preference on who you would like to? Would you like the 10 million to come from a single investor, or would you be open to?
We are open for serious long-term investors.
Sure.
Who can bring value to the company.
That's what I was about to ask.
Value beyond money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very, very important.
It's hard to find a good VC who
Yes.
can do more than just
Yes.
dump cash.
Exactly.
And
what I think, but there are a number of big companies around who have, I would say, investments departments, okay, that are meant to augment the business model of their companies, okay, augment the business offerings of their companies through investing in these tech companies,
Of course.
a company like us.
Of course. It gives you a larger reach to the market.
Exactly.
It makes total sense for those businesses to go into involved. And what kind of returns are those investors? Are you assuming they would be open to? You're saying 10% stake, right? And what kind of returns can you see in the next 5 years?
I didn't say 10% stake.
Sorry.
I said, okay, we will. The process follows. The process would follow the following steps.
Sure.
Okay. The first thing is that the company needs to be evaluated.
Sure.
Okay. So the company today has
You have an internal value,
yes,
yeah.
has a value compared to the company when it was on a paper.
Sure.
Okay. So first of all, the existing shareholders, okay, needs to be rewarded based on the existing value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the new value,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have the new shareholders who are going to join. They need to join on the new value,
Of course.
on the value, okay, as of today, okay, as well as the discounted cash flow.
Of course.
So we're talking about very strong return for the company, well above, I would say, well above 12%. Okay,
That's very good.
Yes.
That's
Well
beating
above-
alpha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what we think. Okay. Once the company reaches a break-even point, and then, okay, it will start to generate strong returns, strong earnings, that will be well above, I would say, 12%.
Okay, I mean that's above alpha. I mean currently alpha sits around 11%. Not considering with inflation how that situation is going. And does the look of the future of the company? Do you see yourself being listed either in Bahrain or maybe in Saudi Arabia?
Well,
Now I'm going very far in the future.
Yeah, you are going very far in the future, but this will be a decision that will be taken by the board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, definitely there are merits in going public. Okay, but there are also merits in keeping it closed. Okay, and commanding higher value. Okay, and having the flexibility of I would say faster pace. Okay, of moving from one market to another market.
I mean, you can always do Dell approach, right?
Yes.
Where, sometimes they're on the market and sometimes they decide,
Exactly.
we're not on the market anymore.
Exactly.
I think Dell has cycled through that process 3 or 4 times at this point. So you can have the best of both worlds too.
Exactly.
Right? Where I think Dell was only available on the stock market for about 3 or 4 years. So they only had to complete like 4, 8, 16 audits. And then they were gone again. They were out.
Yeah.
So there's markets, there's potential for it. And do you see any other packages potentially being offered through the web services? You used to have lifestyle, food, groceries.
Yeah, we have the
fashion.
We have the fashion. We have 6 verticals at the moment.
Would you see it? What would be the potential 7th?
I think it's too early to jump now into a 7th vertical. 6th vertical requires a lot of work.
I agree.
A lot of detailing and a lot of attention. So we have not gone far. Okay, we have not gone that far, to think of the 7th vertical.
You know, I would have like a thing, maybe car accessories, flight tickets, maybe travel. That could work.
Yeah, I mean, we've received a lot of suggestions from our employees and management, But, I'm a sort of a person who likes first to complete the assignment.
Sure.
Make sure that it is working.
Sure.
Make sure that it is profitable.
Sure.
Before you venture into something, additional.
Action versus motion, right?
Yes,
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And I love where the plan is so far going. I love how you differentiate yourself already from your competitors. I think I've mentioned this like 4 or 5 times now to the audience. And we've talked a little bit about how the future of it will look. Do you see yourself potentially ever opening maybe the services more to an international market and outside of just the GCC?
Well, I think it's too early to...
Because the shipping problem is going to be a problem, right?
Yeah. Our focus will be mainly, I would say, the Middle East. If we are going to offer our products...
And only in last mile.
Under the fashion, okay, then you're talking about the Middle East. You're talking about offering your products to Jordan, to Iraq, to Egypt, okay, and there are a number of case studies around, these products being offered to these big markets, and there is recorded success, okay, on this business. So we would like to start it on a gradual basis. So we start with Bahrain first. Hopefully in a month's time we will be having our own, this website where we will be able to offer our lifestyle and fashion products to the GCC, country.
And sorry to interrupt you, sir, but do you believe that it makes sense, especially for lifestyle and fashion, to potentially own a warehouse and manage supply directly internally?
This could be one of the options. This would require a lot of detailing as a value chain. We need to understand the whole value chain of each vertical when it comes to having our own warehouse, or we just buy on demand.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. From the partners. Okay. So all of these would require a lot of detailing and financial modeling and also investments.
But because the idea version of how I think about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the benefit of owning the warehouse is extreme. Not only do we become more attractive to larger enterprises like Amazon for a buyout, which then again raises the capital or the estimate of the company, but more importantly, you can then offer as a subscription to your potential partners. Hey, we'll host it.
Yeah.
We'll ship it.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about that headache, and so you can attack very local brands that are very small or medium sized, and you can immediately get into that.
This is in fact one of our initial thoughts. To
great minds think alike.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is one of our initial thoughts to go to these small businesses and see how we can leverage on their stocks, their available stock. Okay, but again, there is an infrastructure that has to be built. Infrastructure in terms of having a strong system, strong connectivity, strong management from their side, strong oversight and management from our side. Okay, so we're talking about a complete tailor value chain. We have not reached that stage yet. We want to be cautious, okay, how we move our steps forward.
You're not. So I imagine you're not a big fan of move fast and break things.
Yeah. Again, we need to strike a balance between the financial resources of the company, okay, and the ambitions of the company. Okay, you can have a lot of great ideas, but you need to make sure that these great ideas not only
are great on paper.
Yeah, are great on paper. Okay, but they are doable and they are going to give you the right return on your investments.
I totally see your point. I think that a lot of the problem is currently with a lot of VCs, they like the unicorn, the Ubers, the Teslas, all these kind of ventures that have exploded, right? And so a lot of them are very interested in vapeware, and or vape tech. Not vaping as the cigarette vaping, just
yeah.
And especially here in Bahrain, there are the amount of people who I've seen who comes and presents these ludicrous business models. I had one person on recently who was selling a wristband for schools.
Okay.
That parents could put money on that wristband, so the child wouldn't have access to hard cash.
Okay.
And then they would pay it with the wristband, right? And I was like, okay, that seems manageable. And where would be the front end? Where would be the back end? How would you hold the resources? You'd have to have an escrow account to make sure that the money is moving from right to left. None of that was planned.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of that kind of stuff, sadly.
Yes.
Well, in your years of experience, how have you seen that the business world has shifted in Bahrain? Especially like investment banking didn't exist almost 40 years ago. This is a total new concept. Yeah. Even now, banking, both customer banking and financial banking are still separate.
Yeah, they will continue to be separate.
You think so?
Yeah, because of the regulation.
No, do you think ever the regulation will change and it'll be more like a Westerner approach where you have finance banks and civil banks as in customer-based banks as in one house?
Going back to the financial crisis, 2009.
Sure.
Okay, one of the major problems the scandals was, banks were gambling or taking risks in customers' money.
Sure.
So that's why the US came up with the Volcker rule, which is separating these banks, the investments from the retail customers' banking. So this is a rule in US, okay, and then in Europe, they came up with similar stringent rules to separate. To have a Chinese wall between managing retail customers, okay, vis-a-vis investment banking. So investment banking is different from retail banking because you need, the regulator wants to make sure that the retailers or the customers' money is as much as possible is protected. You as a bank, if you want to take risks in these sophisticated products, you do them under the investment banking.
But also don't forget, one of the biggest things in the 2008 was the amount of bad loans that they were giving, as in they knew from the beginning when they were signing those loans, that person was not going to be able to pay back that loan. So they took all that bad debt and then mixed it with good debt at AAA bonds and then sold it. And then suddenly, you're in a situation where there's so much default going on these loan payments that are set as a AAA bond. And you're wondering what's going on.
The business model of these big banks were based on a model that's called originate and distribute. So you originate the loan, but then you distribute it off the balance sheet. So you take it off the balance sheet. Accordingly, you don't need to create the right level of provision for these loans because you have already sold them. Okay, it's off the balance sheet. So you don't create enough provisioning for them. You don't have enough capital buffer for these.
That was another thing that came out. Yeah,
loans that have been distributed. So So when the financial crisis hit, okay, and the actual customers are not able to pay their debts, then the holders of these CDOs, okay, have been hit, okay, and then the cycle goes back to the
Domino.
source.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it was a fascinating time back in the day. I mean, you could get a bank loan at a Walmart. You could go into a Walmart and you could get a mortgage. You're working as an office worker where you were getting a mortgage of $1 million.
Yeah.
And then they would give you money on top, and then a lot of them would even defer payments for 2 months. So not only do we give you the cash, but you don't have to pay back for the first 2 months of that loan cycle.
I mean, there
crazy.
There are different reasons for that. There's a paper by when the financial crisis hit, the European Bank assigned someone whose name is Delors with a group of very senior executives in the European Central Bank to carry out an assessment of what happened, what caused this. And one of the reasons of the financial crisis is the Chinese money that has flown into the US from 2000 to 2007 because of the strong economy of China. So you have surplus cash coming out of this Chinese machine, and the only way is to deploy it into
double-digit growth. Yeah, for 20 years, almost double digits.
So a lot of money went into US into buying properties, okay, and in Europe buying properties. So it's not, you cannot reduce the financial crisis just to the US economy.
In fact, on the subject of economies and so forth, during the COVID period, the first, I think, 6 months or so, I remember I met a few people here in Bahrain that were working as call centers who were selling loans at exorbitant rates. We're talking about an RPI of like 20%, some of as high as almost 32%. That's like a credit card loan. And they were calling up these businesses in the US and getting them signed, they knew that those people who were signing those contracts, those businesses would never be able to pay back that loan, right? But they made enough cash for the first whatever months they tried to honestly pay it back, and they would sell that entire debt as well. It's genius. It's genius. I love Finance World. It's a shame that you left it. You left Finance World to work now in last mile.
Last mile, yes.
Projects. Do you not miss it at all?
No. It's you get under huge pressure when you work in a highly regulated market. Banking and finance are very highly regulated. And you don't have that space of creativity and innovation. And again, after some time, okay, you want to have a break and see other alternative opportunities.
Not everything's about money.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I can imagine that, yeah. What do you think about the whole crypto world? Do you think that's nonsense?
See what happened these days to the collapse of the crypto. What are the fundamentals of this collapse, of this crash?
Lack of trust, I think, in my personal opinion. The market is incredibly volatile. There's no regulation on that market. Every cryptocurrency that's come out could be whatever of whatever. In fact, there's one bastardized version of crypto that is my favorite, which is a representation of US debt. So they're actually using the crypto as a validating token of US debt. So every coin you buy, you're actually buying a piece of debt that is being sold in the US. And so in theory, you're as that debt is being paid off, if it's not a debt loan, you'll get a little cash.
Yeah. I mean, I have personally not engaged in any cryptocurrencies. Do I believe in these cryptocurrencies? To a large extent, no, because they are not built on economic fundamentals. They are not built on economic fundamentals.
I agree.
And,
There's no
so I don't-
quantitative easing.
I don't trust them. I don't trust them. Personally, I don't trust these. I don't trust the algorithms, okay, behind these cryptocurrencies.
And what do you think about the whole blockchain thing?
Blockchain is a very good, as a technology,
As a ledger?
as a ledger, it's a very good technology.
Do you-
It's going to change a lot of. It's going to change a lot of jobs. It's going to wipe out a lot of jobs. This is blockchain is here to stay.
I think
And you
so
will
as
see
well.
it in the coming years.
I know there's one or two real estaters, realtors
Realtors, okay.
that are using it here in Bahrain as a form of contract base, and so that they're matching that blockchain with the contract, so that you own that contract of that deed of land or apartment or whatever,
Yes.
and they're trying to transition that into a currency of a coin that you would be able then to have that coin, that ledger, that NFT, and then be able to then give it to somebody else or whatever else to then switch ownership onto the wallet.
Yeah.
Which NFT, of course, being a whole separate animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And are you're going to trying to implement any kind of blockchain ledger work with you?
Not at this stage.
Sure.
Not at this stage. The products that we have are very simple, straightforward. Okay. We would require after some time some artificial intelligence, some augmented reality, some virtual reality. Okay, especially for the fashion. But this is something that we will be taking as we move into the future.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because I think, especially if you're looking for VC, venture capitalists, or anything like that, the idea of coupling with blockchain is very sexy at the moment, right? There's a very marketable term. People like hearing it.
Yeah.
Right? It feels like it's futuristic. So I know that there's a company that sells iced tea. I forgot the name of it, and they called it the iced tea blockchain, having nothing to do with blockchain.
Okay.
And the stock market increased by 30%.
Crazy.
Yeah. So people have keywords they like marketable.
Yeah.
So
But I think يعني, in this part of the world, يعني, I have seen that people behind the VCs are sophisticated. They understand if this if these words are of real substance or they are just fad.
I agree. I think more of the West, you find people falling into that, quick money scheme traps.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the amount of young kids I see today, 15, 18, something like that, and they're all talking about crypto and making passive income and all this kind of stuff. I hope your son hasn't started it already.
No.
Abdullah.
Yeah.
Keep him away from TikTok.
Yeah.
That's all it is. They all try to steal your money, people,
Well, I mean, he talked to me a lot about crypto, but I was all the time, whenever we have a conversation, I was in the position of no, don't go into this. This is crazy. There's no fundamentals.
You can feel your wallet squeezing.
Yeah.
No, I think it's difficult for especially the younger generation to understand that you're buying into something that has zero power.
Yeah.
Right? At the very least, a dinar is backed by who?
Yeah.
Hukuma, right?
Exactly.
US dollar is backed by who?
Yeah.
US government.
Yes.
Bitcoin is backed by nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And I think a lot of the younger folks don't really understand that transition, sadly.
If you bring an expert in the crypto, he might tell you that we have designed the algorithms to follow certain indices. Okay, be it international indices. But again, what indices? If you look at the strength of a currency, it's based on certain fundamentals. It's based on your government's budget, okay, your finances, okay, whether you are in negative, okay, or you are in surplus.
And what the international market values your currency.
Your GDP, okay, whether you are in a positive GDP or in a negative GDP, all of these have an impact on your currency. If you hold strong foreign reserves when it comes to gold, when it comes to the other currencies, okay, and you are exporting more than you are importing, then your currency is strong. But okay, if it becomes too strong, then you will have a problem, because the cost of your products exporting will become expensive, and you will not be competing, okay, internationally. And that's why US always accuses China of manipulating their currency.
Quantitative easing,
yes,
by printing just more currency,
yeah,
to artificially suppress their true currency.
It's again, the quantitative easing, the way I see it, is different from what China is doing.
Sure.
Okay.
I think of it as economic terms. That's
yeah.
maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean, China, according to the US, they manipulate. Okay, so they don't. When I say they manipulate, so they do not transparently report things as they are. They don't report how the true economic activities, like exports, imports, population growth, GDP growth, okay,
aggregate demand, C plus
aggregate
I
demand,
plus G.
all of this, to as much as they can to suppress, okay, the currency, so that they remain competitive when it comes to export. Okay, the quantitative easing is happening because of different reasons. You do quantitative easing when number one, there is a shortage of cash in the system, okay, or there is heavy losses in the system that's wiping out wealth in the banking system. So you do what you do, you have to print out, okay, money and
lend it then out.
Lend it, okay,
from a government reserve.
Okay, yes. So that is, quantitative easing. And when you do that, part of that also, why do you do that? Because you want to revitalize the economy.
Sure.
Okay, so part of the quantitative easing also is you drop your cost of borrowing as a central bank. So when you drop the cost of borrowing, you are encouraging banks
to lend out more money at a cheaper rate,
to invest more, okay,
sure,
to take their money and invest it inside and outside, okay. So I mean, one of the major benefits for the quantitative easing was that these US banks and US big firms, they borrowed a lot of money immediately after the financial crisis, and they invested this money in the emerging economies, and they get very huge returns. And then they, on the due date to repay these debts, okay, they repatriated this money back to the US.
Well, no, that's not entirely true, because then that would be taxable goods, right? Because very famously, money generated outside the US when returned into the US has to be, I think the tax rate is like 38%. So what usually happens is that they take a loan then by one of the big four, Goldman Sachs or whoever, to take then that loan in operation in the US, and then you use the capital that they have in whatever country, Europe, Middle East, to pay back that internal loan, right? And so that's how they can get around that whole tax issue. And that's why Trump so famously said we'll lower the cash inflow tax to, I think, a single digit. I think it was like 8%. And that's when all that money suddenly came back into the US before COVID, and then that changed the whole thing. I think it's a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've been in love with finance for a very long time.
Yeah.
No, fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell me more about yourself, sir.
أنا طبعا القهوة مثل ما ذكرت لك I've been doing these days القهوة. I've been pursuing a master degree in corporate and commercial law.
Okay.
From King's College University in London.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's not far from my house.
Yeah, so hopefully this I've been working on it for the past 2 years. It's 12 modules. So I've got my last module coming soon. Okay.
My God.
Yeah.
Having 2 kids, house, job, and still studying?
Yes.
Wow.
So this I think again after some time after getting your degree, I felt it's important to challenge my mind, and do something that one time I dreamt of having, when I was, after the secondary school. So I decided to pursue that dream.
I mean, my God, from English, you went all the way from English teacher, studying language, literature, going into business, and then now into law. I mean, talk about quite the life experience.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what made you wake up one day? You're sitting there teaching a class and saying to yourself, you know what? I want to make money. How did that happen?
I have never thought of, you know what? I want to make money.
You're one of the few.
No, it's all about, I want to feel satisfied about myself. And to feel satisfied about myself, I feel that, I need to be of a good value. And one of the ways is I studied hard, got the right qualifications, get the right jobs, do the right things, execute. And when you execute, you give values to the people who are around you. Take them through you into a journey. Multiply their salaries as they move with you.
So you build a following,
yes, exactly.
you build not just a physical family, but you also build a corporate family,
exactly. Yes. I have done a lot of things in the previous job. I have done a lot of things. In the past 10 years, I've done a lot of things. I've taken people to US to do leadership programs in top of the mountains in certain states.
Wyoming, Washington.
Exactly, Wyoming. Yes, I've done this. Wyoming. Every year, I've been sending 2 to 3 people to do this wilderness leadership program.
I used to at one point I was working in Alba in Bahrain long time ago, and I remember my boss, he was furious one day, and I go, what's wrong? He said, we sent those bastards to the US to study, and they come back with C's.
Okay. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yes.
So I think at least in his group, because they sent like different people over from each supervisor.
Yeah.
And his class got the lowest rank.
Yeah.
فشلنا يعني. Unbelievable.
You know what happened? Because when I moved out,
Mm-hmm.
when I moved out from Ministry of Education to this training institute, within a very short period of time, I was assigned with the responsibility of managing a big department, communication department. So I was responsible for managing the employees. All of a sudden, I had 30 employees coming from different backgrounds, Canadian, Americans, Indian, Filipinos, at different ages, and I had to manage them. So I had to start honing my skills when it comes to leadership, management, negotiation, all those soft skills and leadership skills and all of this. So I thought that I think now I need to move into that business context and do something within the business universe outside the educational universe. So that's why I thought of going to Aberdeen, do something in their business school around power inside organizations and all of this.
I mean, it's amazing to me that you chose to do through business, not through psychology or sociology.
Okay, now this is a very interesting point. At the end of the day,
I'm not criticizing, by the way.
You are opening a window for a discussion. You need, at the end of the day, if you go back to the early years of Islam, okay, كان العالم السكولر was a scholar of psychology, sociology, physics, history. Why? Because in fact, these disciplines are all interrelated. So when I did my PhD in business, I had to read a lot in psychology. I had to read a lot in sociology. In fact, and I had to read a lot in history. In fact, my thesis is based on a theory called postmodernism theory, developed by somebody whose name is Michael Foucault. He's a French philosopher, and he's talking about how power resides in language, in words, in the choice of words. Okay, power resides in these words, in the way you use your words, and the way you interact. Okay, so you see, so it takes you back to linguistics, but then he gives you, for example, one of the books that he has written is about madness. How madness evolved in Europe. At the time, they look at people who were mad, okay, as criminals, and they put them in the same prison. They put them in prisons. So he was looking at the psychology of madness, how madness evolved, okay, the discourses around madness, and mad people being marginalized. Very interesting concepts. Okay?
My ex-girlfriend did her doctorate in contemporary Asian art, so I know very well about postmodernism, cubism, newer classicism, classicism, but of course from the art perspective, not so much from the psychology and sociology perspective. So I totally get where you're coming from, and his discussion on madness, on how it affects and how our perception evolves around it, is also incredibly fascinating. Because I think he was a little after, not little, I mean Voltaire, the French philosopher, was almost 600 years before him.
But Michael Foucault is one of the great, I would say, French figures when it comes to the postmodernism research, postmodernism approach. And in fact, this postmodernism approach has been used now extensively recently when it comes to thought leaderships, when it comes to the arts of using power inside the organization, when it comes to discourse analysis. So he has fed a lot of sciences, interdisciplinary sciences.
Yeah.